Hello, hi, I'm Mzansi, and welcome back to another power discussion right here on Health for Mzansi. I'm Joanne Prinsloo, and today our topic will be about addiction and mental health and how the two interrelate and how they might also affect each other. And of course, we are joined by experts on the panel today, ranging from a founder of a rehab facility, a recovery coach, as well as someone that has actually overcome addiction, and she's here to tell the full story. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. We can start on the far end.
Okay. Thanks for inviting us here today. I'm Arif Murat, and I'm the director of the Paddle Safe House, based in Paul, working with men for the last 10 years that struggle with addiction, and also whose brains is always minds and brains has been affected by any substance use. So yes, that is us in a nutshell. And then after the last decade, we decided to start with the women facility as well, knowing that there's a big need for assistance of females struggling with substance abuse and mentally challenged situation.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Arif.
Thank you, Joanne. I'm Nazim Benjamin, and I've been with the payroll as well, with Arif Murat's facility for the past few years as a recovery coach. And my role would be basically to help guide those who come for treatment through their process, help coach them, in other words, towards finding recovery, understanding their addiction, and employing new behavior, employing new strategies to cope with the existing challenges outside as well.
Thank you, Nazim.
Hello. I'm Louise. I'm Louise Peterson. I'm mom of two, a radio broadcaster. I'm also a trauma counselor for 1,000 women, and I'm a survivor. Proudly, I can say I'm a survivor of drugs, and that's me.
Thank you so much all for being here. And I know you're going to have valuable contributions to the conversation that we're going to have today. Nazim, I'd like to kick it off with you. You said something very important that actually just triggered a thought or a question. You mentioned that you help those to understand their addiction. So can you please just give us more detail about that, and where do you start when you want to understand your addiction?
Sure. So, Joanne, I think I should start by saying that as a recovery coach, I am too in recovery. I've been for several years, and I feel very privileged to have that type of insight. And that gives me the advantage to sort of walk alongside the newcomer, as we would call him, as I have that sort of inside knowledge as well. So there's many components and aspects to be understood, especially for the one that's struggling, that is stepping out of that, or that's still trapped in that addiction. And some of it is to help them understand that it's okay, firstly, that they're not alone. These are important aspects. They're not alone. It is okay. They've made mistakes. Their path may have led them to in a certain direction, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And we are very fortunate to have so many recoveries to be the vision of hope for the newcomer. Everyone has value. Everyone has something to offer. Everyone has worth. Being trapped in addiction leads you to not believe that, not believe there is value, not believe there is worth. And the objective with the recovery center that we have is to allow them clean time, allow them to be engaged and be stimulated in an environment where they can regain that sense of worth and value. So these are basically the route that we would go with raising their self-esteem, their confidence in themselves. And then, of course, there's the process of letting go, forgiving themselves, which is a continued journey. It is something that doesn't happen overnight. And so that is basically where we would start, just making sure that they believe that they are supported, they are loved, they're not alone, and allow them to engage in this process of forgiving self.
Okay. Arif, being the director of, if I can call it a facility or organization, can you just give a broad picture of who are the type of newcomers that come there? You know, you mentioned you work with men, but in terms of age group, what type of person comes to the facility?
I always say that, addiction doesn't ask for color, race, and status. So we can expect anyone to knock on the door at any given time, at any age. We are looking at, and for the last couple of years, we've worked the Battle Safe Association working with youth on school level. We have done on an outpatient basis, and then we are looking at up to the ages of 50 years old. So yes, anyone that's struggling with any sort of disorder or any sort of substance abuse, whether it's a prescription medications, which is very bad, we may look at street drugs and say it has taken away self-respect and it's taken away what's like hurting families, etc. But and the disappointment that goes with it, the disappointment in self, affecting mentally certain substances. But if we look at prescription medications, it is, if we look at subscription alcohol, we're looking at heroin. It fits almost into the same category, which they first needs to go for professional and detox before you can just start the process of rehabilitation, because it can be harmful to body and mind. Certain substances, so that is the danger part on one side. So all ages, everyone, everywhere, it is so freely available, and so as people, I always say, addiction, if you understand it, it starts through early childhood, where you can see someone sitting with addictive personality, and it's what they're going to cling on to first, that they're going to take through their life through with him. So understanding that part when they do come to you, as when, where, and how, because every are the root of it, yes, and then we can just take it from there, and then apply the correct principles to their specific program.
Yeah. So you just mentioned addictive characteristics of personality. Are there some factors? I mean, because there might be parents that also listen to this. So if they can identify it at an early stage, are there 2, 3, 4 certain factors that we can look at and that we can identify in a young child?
So with addiction, there's big debates, but it's a medical disease, and yes, you can pick up early things like peer pressure, wanting to fit in. A lot of them on youth level is exposed to, especially if we look at the legalized part of weed and things. So these entry drugs, these entry things that you can look at that they will be exposed to through a young age. But if you're looking at personality, you can look at someone that maybe pick up something simple as a PlayStation and just can't put it down. Any sort of thing that someone, you get different types of people. Someone can say no from beginning, someone that can pick it up and say, okay, this is not for me. And someone picks up anything and just can't put it down. It's difficult because somehow it fills some sort of void, and you can pick it up through early childhood already, and then try to coach it, not treat it like an addiction, but you can coach it into the right way.
Okay. Louise, don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you. So speaking about all of this, I would actually like to go to like the lived experience of addiction. And this is what Nazim also mentioned, the experience, but we're going to just go into your story. So if you would just like to give us a brief look into what that world looked like for you.
Yes, Soldier, and coming from more than 15 years on drugs, talking about you get the tug, heroin, different types of drugs. For me, I would say the drug wasn't addiction for me. The drug was blocking. I blocked a lot of things that happened in my childhood. So, for example, it's about 5 years ago. I'm clean for 5 years, and 5 years, say it's more than 5, say 7 years ago, I actually found out why I was actually doing drugs, what made me start the drugs, where did it start that I started using drugs. But say, for example, 8 years old, I was a child, 8 years old, that was sexually abused. And at the same time, it's the time where my parents got divorced. So living with my mom and my daddy and moving to a space like, for example, myself, my mother, and my brother, we had to share one room. And going in that time, going to high school, you know, your friends got everything, and at that time, it's a time where I actually blocked what happened to me because I was because it's a family member that did the stuff to me, and I met these friends, and in that year is the first time that the drug came to Wellington. And I was part of the first people in Wellington to test this drug because these are types of friends that give you the love that you don't get at home. You know, they just really making you feel like you the special one, you part of the group. It's for me. I think I felt I belonged with them. So yes, I started using drugs at the age of 15 years old. Started using drugs, and a lot of stuff happened because I allowed a lot. Let me say, I allowed a lot of stuff to happen with myself because I thought it was okay because my dad is not there, mom is busy working for us, and all of that stuff. But you know, Joanne, a point in Cape Town, I remember it so clearly. I was living on the street, Joanne. You know, ladies that's on the street. That's like you ask people for money. You do a lot of different stuff. A lot of stuff happens to you, and you know it's like, sorry. So, as I would never forget this one day. So, in Long Street there was a night. We were a group of girls and boys standing there, and this one guy in particular said that tonight I'm gonna take you. He's gonna take me. He's gonna take me away to Joburg and all of this stuff. But there was a guy passing by, and he just said, "You to me, you that God loves you." Jesus, he said, Jesus loves you, and that is actually the first time that I heard the word Jesus. Somebody saying to me, "Jesus loves you," and etc. And you know, and something just happened after that night. You know, I was so drugged up. I literally walked into a church. I didn't know that I'm walking into a church. And, you know, I don't know how to just explain the feeling and what happened there. But then I started with trauma counseling. I went through trauma counseling, learning how to write my story. And that's when the healing took place within myself, where they actually opened the wounds by telling my story, writing my story, what happened. I was raped. I was sold by a family member. And the abuse that came along, and all of that. And today I can say that it's not easy sometimes to speak about it, but my healing started when I started opening up what happened in my life. So I've been I went to a rehabilitation center. I've went there, but I was there like say for 3 months. I was in a rehab program. There was different types of skills that I learned in the rehab and all of that, but and got trained and all of that stuff. But I think my healing and my healing journey started when I became part of a writing retreat and writing course where I learned who am I. So I had to forgive. So yes, in the first 2 years it wasn't easy. I relapsed. In the first 3 years I relapsed, and then I started. What made me go back to relapsing? So for me it was like the drug was hiding the pain, keeping the pain away of what happened, and I had to forgive myself for everything that happened to me. I had to forgive other people, my family. You know, it's a daily thing of forgiving, and it's also I won't stop.
Louise, thank you for talking so boldly about your story, and you touched a lot on process and how your healing journey started by writing your story. So I want to jump to Nazim for this one. In terms of processes and skills, what does a usual daily program look for people at the Safe House?
Okay. Before I get into that, Joanne, I just wanted to applaud Louise for sharing her story. Very powerful, profound, and part of what we do is share our story. There's a lot of therapeutic value for the one sharing and for the one listening, and that's very important in the rooms of recovery. We need to keep the message of recovery alive. The message of recovery is alive and well, and it requires courageous people like Louise to continue sharing their story. It brings about healing to self, and like I mentioned, so many who listen to it, it raises their level of courage to know that they're not alone suffering with similar things, and that also raises their confidence in sharing their story, and there's healing in sharing. One learn to let go once the individual start to express and start to share. And to answer your question, so our environment and our typical routine would change from day to day. The reason being we have a variety of, or a diverse group, as Arif has mentioned, different age groups, different backgrounds. Our doors are open regardless of how much you've used, how many people you've disappointed, your background, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation. As long as there's a desire for change, as long as there's a desire for that is the criteria in order for the help to be there. Just the desire to want to stop. And so because we have this diverse age group, backgrounds, there's a lot of egos, a lot of different personalities. And even now with the substance now being absent, the behavior is still very much present. So on a daily basis, therefore it's important that we maintain good structure, discipline, and we have identified the certain traits that's prevalent in the addict, just the typical traits that's prevalent in the addict. And so we work on that. Structure, routine, things are done in its time. They need to learn how to do the things when they don't feel like doing. They need to learn how to do the hard things, because recovery is not easy, and that's life. That's life. Yes. So the addict would often retreat from life and the responsibilities of life, and because addiction, it offers such a wonderful relief from the pain, from the hurt, from certain realities. It becomes the false sense of courage, the source of courage and strength, and the sense of attachment. There may be some conflict in their own identity, and by walking the path of an addict, they somehow find a sense of connection and a sense of who they are. So once at the recovery center, we need to help them unlearn certain behaviors that has been conditioned over the years walking that path. The behavior of manipulation and dishonesty, and that of deception, and there's so many more. So recovery, at least at our center, we want it to be real. We want it to be raw. We don't want there to be some type of fairy tale, some type of pretentious. And when they are faced with these kind of emotions, then we know how to deal. We know how to deal, and we can guide them to teach them how to deal with these things. So our routine typically would be there's a wake up time, and then there's which will vary from day to day and weekday to weekends. We have other activities and other interests that we get them involved with, because it's important to actively keep them busy. We believe and this to heal this and to heal this, you need to use this.
Okay. So don't be idle.
Don't be idle,
Yeah.
because you will just be ruminating and overthinking the future and ruminating on the past, and you'll be trapped in here. And then that is potentially a means to go into some type of depression. We can't fix this by just using this. We need to do things. So we keep them actively involved in everything that there is to do. And there's always things to do. Being in service is very important. Doing esteemable things in order to raise your sense of self-esteem. Doing things without acknowledgement. And so we get them involved in whatever there is to do, and there's plenty. And so wake-up time can be anything from 7 a.m., breakfast at 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. And when we've had a busy weekend, for example, then we will also balance it with a bit of a late start in the morning. A privilege, yes. which must be earned, which must be earned. And I think that is life. So most of the people that continues with their life outside, especially the families, because the addiction is not a spectator sport. The rest of the family, they get to play along as well. They're not just spectators. They may never pick up the substance, but it's not a spectator sport. They get to play along. So they continue with their normal routine. They get up for work. They have to go. They don't have these privileges after a hard day's work. They need to just continue. And then they're still faced with the trauma of what their loved one has caused, and the loved one is in treatment. The family, they have to continue. So typically our mornings start early. That's very important because we need to break that pattern of laziness. Morning starts early. Sometimes it's a bit of fitness, sometimes a little fitness exercise, because it needs to be an holistic approach. And breakfast, and everyone has responsibilities. We empower them with responsibilities, whether it be take a turn in the kitchen to do the dishes, and everyone's spaces is clean by themselves. No one is going to do it for them. And we encourage them to do it to the best of their ability so that they can feel good about the making of their bed. For example, just the making of their bed. Cleaning their spaces, we often spring clean. And then throughout the day, it will change from day to day, but throughout the day, there will be structured activities, work-related tasks, sessions, spiritual sessions, their meal times, and it will be done with some type of family value as well. So leading up to the evening, and then normally in the evening we wrap up our day with a short little session. Everyone gets to point out highlights or struggles for the day, and yes, and then they return to their rooms. And normally in the rooms is where the things normally happen. So in front of us, typically they are well behaved. We're more interested in what kind of behavior happens when they're not in the under supervision, when they're not under supervision. So it's a very challenging but very interesting, and it's and the transformation it's a beautiful thing to be part of. So yes, the days are always changing.
Yeah,
But
it's a full day.
It's a full day.
It's a full day. Nazim, you mentioned about the recovery process not being a spectator sport. Louise, having this experience, what advice would you give to parents, family members, friends that have someone close to them that's struggling with addiction?
Joanna was actually listening to him, and I think, yes, a lot of people say people are favored. I think I'm favored because if I look back into my own community, like let me make an example. Listening to radio, for example, listening to the radio, sitting and smoking, doing drugs. I was literally doing drugs, and this the station I actually worked for, Casey. This pastor was preaching, and they were talking about drugs, and also more or less what he said now. And I was like picking up the phone and phoning this radio station. Listen, Pastor, but I'm drugged, man, and pray for me and all of this stuff. So for me, sometimes a lot of people, when they come out of rehab, children that comes from rehab, they are quick to show people out there, or the family members, or the friends, no, I'm drug free now. So what I would say to people that's in recovering survivors out there, change for yourself. Firstly, it's about yourself. Most importantly, the light inside of you, the change inside of you will flourish for other people to see. For example, I'm working for Casey for 5 years now. Not 5 years, 3 years in the radio station now. And even police people make contact with me, the court people, the magistrate, the person that wanted to put me in jail, they phoned me and they asked me, how did you do it? Even my mom would say to other moms, people would ask, where was your daughter when she was on the street and drive? How did you get her to this point? And then my mom would say, God. So my advice to parents out there, do not stop praying for your children. But yes, they need the right people to help them. Because sometimes we focus on the drug. The person is not on the drug, but there's something mentally inside them that needs healing. So for parents out there, pray, but do pray and also get the right people to help them. Even myself, I've got somebody that I still need to talk to and saying, listen, I'm stressed about this, or I'm feeling like, not like I'm getting a craving for drug or something, but at least I'm
It's
communicating.
a bad day. It's, yeah.
Yeah, I'm communicating on my pain or they say you will learn until the day you die. You will recover until the day whenever. So for people I actually hope that somebody that's addicted to drugs is watching. Don't be shy because you are using drugs, but be open and honest with yourself. Whoever comes on your path to help you, be open. Like I phoned, like to make an example, I phoned the social department. I said to them, listen, I'm addicted to drugs, but I need a place where I can go with my children. I don't need a rehab. I said to them, I need a place to go with my children so that I can also learn to become a mother and to be part of their lives, and also to. So yeah, there's a lot of motivations that I can say to people out there, but it starts with yourself. It's your choice. It's a daily choice. It's not going to be like I was listening to where you have to wake up in a rehab. So the rehab that I went to, there's males and females that goes there. But this rehab, the time to wake up and the time to eat is 8 o'clock, and then 1 o'clock, and then like 6 o'clock. For me, I take that as I would suggest people continue using that waking up time, eating time, because you kind of realize my privileges that I actually had in life. So that's very good tools that you guys are using. So yeah.
Okay. And then just to conclude, I think this topic can be quite, how can I say, it might seem very heavy and that there's no hope. But Arif, I want you to, if you can just reflect on some success stories of newcomers that came into the safe house, and you are so proud to see where they are today. So if you can reflect on some success stories.
Because definitely it's been a decade of seeing how they grow. One thing I need to say, I'm very proud of the two of them and just listening, and I would like to say that recovery is a ongoing process. It just never stops. Anyone is prone to relapse, God forbid it happens. But it's hard work, and it's staying committed to self. And like she said, the power is within the person. I always say to the guys that there's purpose in everything in life. Whether abused, what you went through as a child, whether you received poverty, God loves all of us, no matter where we find and what challenges we go through in life. But it's the wisdom that comes with the package. So this life gives a lot of people a lot of wisdom, and I constantly say, if you decide to study for a social worker after your time of abuse or addiction, and you're on the journey of recovery, and someone fresh out of school without any experience of that wisdom or the trauma that you went through, who do you think is going to be the better counselor or the better social worker? So I think everything in life has got purpose, even if you're given poverty, even if you fall, or you a victim to abuse, or no matter what it is. And sometimes to change the mindset that you're not a victim, but you're actually a victor. And with that mindset, you can go far. And seeing people reach success is what makes us go on this journey and wants to just be part of the journey. Because you can see them foster and grow and become of the greatest successful stories with a past that you can embrace and not be shy of, because it makes you powerful. You can walk with your head high. So there's lots of that success stories that I do see, and I do like to keep the hands. There's so many, statistics is bad. It's very difficult to survive from heroin. It's a tough fight for alcohol if you're addicted to alcohol. The fight is real. The desire needs to be strong. Like they said, if you focus on boredom, you focus on responsibility, you focus on pain of the past. So there's a lot of obstacles. And when you see that person achieve success, young or old, no matter where they come from. It just makes you very happy to see that. And yes, I've seen lots of them foster in different careers. And one thing that I always see is that they continue to give back to the next one struggling. And that understanding is there, the greatness of that is there. But yes, a lot of success stories through the years, a lot of failure as well.
If you could mention one success. Yes.
Yes, one thing.
Yes.
But yes, there's a lot of success stories. There's people that's actually now in either events. I mean, I'm hosting with the launch of the Women's Center now. We are going to celebrate a lot of success stories. Last year alone, I had about 7 or 8 in Paul that is celebrating the 10th year clean time. So it's a long time. They're celebrating it, and they were actually phoning me to say, when are we at? What are we doing about it?
Very nice.
So it just wants me to go on. Some of them is just in transport. Some of them has got their own businesses. It's really nice to see. It's really amazing. I mean, there's one person, Sean, that I'm particularly proud of, that was living the streets in Woodstock, Salt River, injecting mainline with heroin. And he was after the center. The hard work really starts outside. Adopted by another family in Wellington. And he's actually from Cape Town. And he started 1 week wages for him, 1 week wages to them. And he bought his first car to his second car, to helping getting his mom out of a shelter in Cape Town and then placing her on a home. And it's something really admirable to see.
Wow.
And I can go on and on with success stories with certain people. But yes, that is just what you want to see in what's happening. If I had matriculants now, that I had some of them with me, and that we were actually fighting to have exams. He's from Cape Town to write it in Paul. Some obstacles in game we managed him to get to write at home. So today I think it's paper 3, and he phoned me last night to say it's going great. And also had a bursary prior to this because of academics, and then because of weed and naughtiness on the school, was expelled. And then, the stories go on, and you can't wait to see the results at the end of the year. It's just the things that you look forward, because there's hope. And these beautiful stories. It's not all destructive, and it's not all. I believe that it's just your past. It's like they said, the healing of the parents is something the parents had to go through. God gives us all certain challenges, and it's how we embrace it. It's not a punishment, and that's my journey through workshop with parents and loved ones affected, with people that was in addictions, to abuse, to any sort of mental disorder, to see, to let people take the past and embrace it and to move forward.
Thank you so very much, and thank you for the internal work that you continue to do, and also the work in other youngsters as well. I did say it's going to be a valuable contribution to this conversation, so I want to just say thank you to the panel. Continue doing what you are doing. And as we've heard this afternoon, that recovery journey never stops. But amidst all of this, there is hope, and let's always choose to focus on the hope. Thank you.
Health for Mzansi is WhatsApp official. At Health for Mzansi, we put people first. So we have created a safe space where you can get access to our latest health features and be part of a health community. Join our Health Squad or Health Heroes group for more information. Don't forget to follow us on social media.